The surest sign of the Democratic Party completely cut adrift and totally uncertain as to where it's going or what it's doing is this idea of blue no matter who. This idea that, well, I don't know who's going to win the Democratic primary, but we have to support them no matter what. We have a collapsing environment. We have 45,000 people dying every year because they don't have health care. We have the largest wealth gap since the Gilded Age. We have endless war. We have a million species on the brink of extinction, including ourselves, and any blue will do. And it doesn't matter who we elect. Are you kidding me? It matters more now than ever before. And all of this is because Donald Trump has the left so hysterical and so fearful that we've lost all ability at rational thought, at a rational critique, at where we need to go. Yes, Donald Trump is awful. There is no question that Donald Trump is immoral. There is no question that Donald Trump is unprincipled. But there is a supremely important question we need to be asking. Do you have principles? Are you a principled voter? You can't control what Donald Trump does. You can't control what the Republican Party does. You can't even really control what the Democratic Party does. And it is very difficult to control what even the most responsive elected leader does once they're in office. But what you can control is your vote. And whether or not you are voting ethically, whether or not you are voting morally. Because if you are not voting ethically, then you have no business complaining when Republicans or Democrats act immorally. It starts with voters. You want an ethical government? Well, then you've got to be ethical yourself. So what do I mean by that? What do I mean by being an ethical voter? Does voting Democrat, no matter who they are, make you an ethical, moral voter? If all you care about is somebody with a D in front of their name winning, then you are not a principled voter. You are not an ethical voter. What you are is the political equivalent of a sports fan. And unfortunately, that's what politics have become. For most people, it's devolved into just whether or not a candidate has a D or an R next to their name. For most people, elections are sporting events to see if their team is victorious. And just like a sporting event, when your team wins, your life is not materially impacted in any way. The same is now true of politics. We're at the point where no matter which side wins, nothing really changes except which team gets the trophy. Neither team cares about the Green New Deal. Neither team cares about Medicare for all. Neither team cares about expanding unions. Neither team cares about living wages. Neither team cares about ending our endless wars. And certainly, neither team cares about getting money out of politics. Washington is now a senseless game where we're supposed to derive satisfaction merely from our team winning and not from any substantive policy wins. Blue no matter who is a rallying cry from cheerleaders on the sidelines who care nothing except for their team winning. So I'll ask again, are you a moral voter? What principles do you stand for other than anyone but Trump? Because it's not Donald Trump. It's the money and the corporate power that has taken over not just the Republicans, but the Democrats as well. And that money and that corporate power is still going to be there once Trump is long gone. Getting rid of Trump is not going to change the system. Look, if he's violated laws, fine, impeach him. But it is not going to fundamentally change anything. It's not going to change the system. which is why the Democratic primary right now is the real fight, because that is the only space left where we still have the option not to vote for a corporate candidate, maybe for the first time ever. And there's only a handful of them. And to be clear, that is predominantly Bernie Sanders. But to a lesser extent, Elizabeth Warren, Tulsi Gabbard, and Andrew Yang. If one of them can win, if a candidate unsullied by corporate cash can win the Democratic primary, then we have a chance of truly transforming this country. But if the corporatists win in the Democratic primary, then it's over. Then it won't matter who wins in the general election, because whether it's Donald Trump or whether it's Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, Beto O'Rourke, Amy Klobuchar, Kirsten Gillibrand, nothing is going to change. None of these people have an allegiance greater than to their corporate donors. The only way we stop Trump and future Trumps is if we change the system. Blue, no matter who, does nothing to change the status quo. It protects it. We change an unethical status quo by voting ethically. You draw a line in the sand around your principles and you refuse to step over it for any candidate. If you believe that providing health care is the moral responsibility of a government, as I do, and the Democratic Party gives you a candidate that doesn't stand for Medicare for all, then you don't vote for them. You find a third-party candidate who does, and you give that person your vote. If you believe that enacting the Green New Deal is an indisputable moral responsibility of our country, as I do, and the Democrats give you a candidate that doesn't staunchly support it, then they don't get your vote. We don't beat Trump by running someone who's policy-wise just like him. We won't defeat Trump by compromising on our values. You beat Trump by offering what he can't offer. You beat Trump by fighting for what he won't defend. And that is policies based on moral principles and moral values. Not by getting down in his element into the mud, but by rising up with policies that are principled. Trump is willing and able to say anything. And so we also need a candidate that is more than moral words. We need what Trump can't show and won't do, and that's moral action. If the Democratic Party, instead of putting their time into hating Trump, if the Democratic Party actually spent their time talking about Medicare for all, like Bernie Sanders and AOC, then Trump would be forced to tell everyone that he doesn't stand for universal health care. If the Democratic Party spent its time fighting for tuition-free college, Trump would be forced to tell everyone why he doesn't want you to go to school. If the Democratic Party said, we stand for the Green New Deal, that's what it's all about, Trump would be forced to tell everyone why he hates the planet Earth. That's a winning strategy. That's what we need to be doing. But that's not what we're doing. By spending our time telling everybody how awful he is, how he's a Russian spy, how he's unstable, it's getting us nowhere fast. We need to make the case why independents and reasonable Republicans that are still out there should come over to our side. And then when we win, we've got to follow through and fight like hell until Medicare for all, universal college, the Green New Deal, and living wages are the law of the land. We get those things passed, and then you know what will happen? The left will be in charge for decades. That's what happened when FDR pushed through the original Green New Deal. The Democrats were in power for 30 years. The Republicans were swept away. That's a strategy for winning. So let's go back to my first question. Are you a moral voter? Are you willing to put your morals first and vote for who should win rather than who we're told can win? And are you willing to say no to the Democratic Party if they put forth a candidate that will require you to compromise on those values? However, if you're still unconvinced, if you still believe that Trump is just too dangerous to take any chances, answer this one question that no one has been able to answer for me. If this time around we have to support the Democratic candidate no matter who they are, well then, under what circumstances down the road may we not vote for a Democratic candidate? Under what circumstances may I vote for a candidate that I really like? When can that happen? Think about that and ask yourself if you are fighting for principles or just a letter of the alphabet. When we say anything is better than Trump, we've already lost. Because in order to say anything's better than Trump, we're no longer fighting for principles. When we say anything's better than Trump, Trump wins. Because we've become no better than he is. A vapid, screaming fan fighting for nothing other than our side. Save the cheerleading for Sunday Night Football. We have a world to save. We need principled voters. Be a principled voter. Thank you.